tackle me out.
Okay. Dylan, what did you do?
First sleepover, we stayed up almost all night.
Oh man.
And then I went over to his house the next day. We played house out all day. And a bunch of little kids were chasing us too.
Cool.
One was like 3, and one was 6.
All right, one more. Mateo got a haircut.
And I also went to places like malls.
All right, nice. Sounds like we all had a fun weekend. I went to the carnival on Friday, so that was pretty fun. I saw Wes there.
I saw
Awesome.
Shandy there.
Oh, cool. The Big Sky Science Fair.
Me and Jeffrey
Oh, cool. All right, let's transition into Buried Nice. Who remembers? We're on chapter 5, I believe. Death in the Arctic. We're on page 40. Who can remind us what we have read so far? Shandy?
About plaything, there's Christmas, and they make a play and do everything, how to make more.
Okay, do you remember what the play is about? Does anyone remember what the play is about? Look through your book. Dylan, what's the play about?
It says these sailors are performing a historical drama.
A historical drama. So that doesn't quite tell us what the play about, but we know it was a historical play, so maybe they put on a historical event. Okay, and it's Christmas. Okay, so let's just start at the top, first paragraph. Christmas had finally brought a bit of relief. Were we on 40? Who remembers? Were we on 41?
Yeah, we can hear it because John died.
Okay, so John's died. Okay, so in the morning, Dylan, would you like to read first?
In the morning from the upper deck, Luke could hear the sounds of the carpenter and his mate who were constructing John's coffin. Captain Crozier sent 6 men ashore to dig a grave, and even from the ship, Luke could hear their grunts of effort and the echoes of the pickaxes hacking at the frozen ground.
Okay, so do we know what John died from yet? Does anyone know? Do we know if he died from disease or anything like that? Anyone remember? Okay. So do we know what John died from yet? Yes or no? No. All right, and what are pickaxes? Does anyone know what a pickaxe is? Micaiah?
It's a tool used for digging out things, mainly stone.
Okay. Do you know what it looks like?
Yeah,
Can you describe it to us?
it has a fairly long stick, and then it has a piece of metal that curves out on one side, and it can either have what looks to be like the end of an axe on the other side, or another curved end.
Okay. I found a picture of it. Oops, that's not a very good picture, is it? What does a grunt sound like? Can you tell me what a grunt sounds like? Let me hear some grunts. Everyone grunt. Kind of like a growl. Okay. Mateo.
Luke went down to sick bay where a certain petty was preparing the body for burial. After John's body was washed and clothed,
Certain strips were torn from a sheet and used to bind the body to make it easier to lift into the coffin. As Luke watched, the doctor folded John's blue and white kerchief, wrapped it under the dead Savior's chin, and tied it tightly to the top of his head.
Okay. Julie?
Luke turned away. He didn't want to watch him, but he felt he had to do something.
Ryan?
Walking back through the mist, he noticed a barrel filled with empty tin cans. He took a tin can from the cupboard and his hand.
Okay, so this is a pickaxe. This is what Micaiah was describing. Here's the blade, and here's the piece of wood. So it's, what did they use the pickaxe for? You just read it. Mateo?
Digging up the grave.
Digging up the grave. But why are they going to use a pickaxe and not a shovel? Grant?
The pickaxe can break the snow and ice up so they can get it.
Yeah, because the pickaxe, so that they can break up the snow and ice. Wes, were you going to say something?
Well, in the end, in like the glossary, the next page from the glossary says a search for the Northwest Passage. On the end says anthropologist Owen Betty and his field assistant search for solutions to the Franklin mystery by examining the bodies of the sailors preserved in the Arctic ice. Betty discovers that lead poisoning from food tins played a role in the expedition's disastrous end.
Does everyone see that on page 63, the very last caption? So, West pointed that out to me when we were working in our books last week. Tells us how they got the lead poisoning. Wasn't that one of the mysteries that we were trying to figure out? Thanks for sharing that, West. All right. So, Grant. Walking back. Oh, potatoes, sorry.
Potatoes, he said, really small. Luke sat down at the table and cut the end off the tin. Then he split the side seam and carefully flattened the sheet of metal. He whipped the inner surface clean.
He wiped.
He wiped the inner surface clean and then painted it with blue paint. Then he slowly cut the piece of metal into a rough shape of a heart. When it was finished, he placed the heart near the galley stove so that the heat would dry the piece quickly.
Hey, Shandy, will you read that caption for us?
At first view of John Thornton's coffin plate, we were touched by the fear that obviously had been taken.
Let's look at this picture. I'm looking at this picture on page 41. What can you see in this picture? Julie?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
If, like, he cut a piece of metal
Uh-huh.
and the tin can wasn't very big, so,
No.
how big would it be? Because it couldn't be, like, that big.
The tin can that he cut the piece of metal from.
Like the heart.
The heart. So, unfortunately, I don't know, because I don't know what was in the tin can. Probably potatoes, that's right. But it was probably, I would say, it's probably bigger than a tuna
Well, maybe
can.
I wonder if they were cut or old and mashed.
Yeah,
Does
we
it-
don't know, and that would also, so I would say it's probably like the size, maybe even bigger, you know, like really big tin cans of tomato sauce, like the big ones. I would say it's probably that big or bigger, probably like this size. They have tin cans. Does anyone ever go to Costco? You guys have seen some pretty large tin cans there. Probably. No? They don't have really big tin cans of stuff. I don't know, tomato sauce is the only thing I could think of.
They might have it, but I don't want to see it.
Okay. So that's probably about as big as the tin can would be. Okay. So let's look at the picture. What do you see in this picture? Look at the picture. Who can tell me what they see? What do you see? Is it a painting? What is it? What kind of picture is it? What kind of picture is it? Walker? It's a photograph. A photograph of what? Shandy? His coffin plate. Do you guys, what does it say? Can you guys make out the words?
Yeah, I can.
Vincent?
John Torrington died January 1st, 1846, age 20.
Okay, so that is, and what else do you notice about the coffin plate? What else do you notice about it? What is its shape? Micaiah?
Kind of a heart looking, like I said, but it's missing the little curve at the top. Other than that, yeah.
Yeah. It kind of goes down into a point. Does everyone see that in your picture? And then just to remind you, this was John Torrington's grave marker that they found. Remember we talked about this? Okay. So, top of page 41.
With a small brush, he carefully painted fine guidelines across the heart so that the inscription would be perfectly straight. Then, holding his hand as steadily as he could, he painted on a message, slowly copying the letter shapes from a book. John Torrington died January 1st, 1846, aged 20 years.
What is special about January 1st? What holiday is that? West?
New Year's.
New Year's Day. And he died New Year's Day, the first day of 1846. Okay, Vincent?
He decorated the heart with a few flourishes and leaf shapes, and it was done.
Look at the picture down here. Do you guys see where the flourishes that he decorated the heart plate with, the coffin plate? What do they look like? They're kind of scribbles.
It looked like eggplants.
This, yeah, leaves. Must always not a very good drawer artist, but you can see. Okay, who's next? Micaiah, are you?
By the following day, the preparations for the burial were nearly complete. Luke went up to the upper deck where the coffin was waiting. Then he handed the heart plaque to the carpenter, who took it without a word and nailed it to the foot of the coffin.
What does the carpenter do? What's the job of the carpenter? Mateo? To make things out of wood like the coffin. Okay. So next page, page 42. West.
It only took Luke and William Johnson to carry John's wasted body from the sick bay up to the coffin. They carefully laid the body on a thin layer of wood chips that the carpenter had sprinkled in the bottom. The lid was quickly nailed in place.
Why do you think they laid out wood chips? Why do you think they would lay out wood chips? What is the purpose of those wood chips? Where are the wood chips? Are they on the outside or the inside of the coffin? The inside of the coffin. Do you think that maybe the wood chips might have something to do with our mystery? With the bodies? I don't know, helping preserve some of the bodies? I don't know, I'm asking you. You don't know? Walker?
I think they might be used to preserve the bodies.
How? How do you think?
Maybe like wood chips could keep some of the heat in, like from inside the coffin, and some of the heat that might still be inside the body.
Okay.
The bodies wouldn't like freeze and then
So Walker's making a hypothesis. You can tell me what a hypothesis is. Julie, what's a hypothesis?
Educated guess.
An educated guess that maybe the wood chips are keeping the heat in, right? Okay. Anyone else want to make one? Julie?
Maybe if there is blood, it can suck up the blood.
Okay, if there is blood, it can soak up the blood. Okay. All right. So I think we're back to you, Dylan.
It was time to bury.
Yes.
It was time to bury John Thornton.
You can read the next paragraph.
Luke, William, and 2 other men carried the coffin to the starboard side of the ship, then lowered it down on the ropes to the ice and snow below. There the coffin was swung onto the sledge, draped with a flag and slashed firmly in place.
Lashed. Okay. Mateo?
A light snow began to fall. 2 men attached harnesses to the sledge and started hauling it toward the island. The ice was very uneven, and it took several men to help the sledge across the lumpy parts. All the men from the area joined the march, and by the time they reached the swamping, snow-covered ground of Beachy Island, over 100 sailors had gathered, including the snow giant. Even William Wayne was there, leaning heavily on the arms of 2 friends. Then Luke waved to him. My God, although I might seem not to know.
So what's the sledge? What's the sledge that they're talking about? Mateo?
It's the sort of a sled that they put
Is that what you were gonna say, Wes? Sledge. Did you have your hand up? No. Walker, is that what you were gonna say? Okay. What does the word, where is it? Gaunt. Gaunt. G-A-U-T. What is that? I think that means. What's the sentence that it's in? You can tell us. Shandy, can you read us that sentence?
When Luke waved to him to gaunt, holiday, and see not well.
Can you tell, using your context clues and your sentence, what gaunt means? Wes?
Thin.
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
Thin.
Ben? Shandy?
Like, looking at him, like he's really sick and weak.
Okay. Sick, weak. Micaiah?
Withered.
Withered? Okay. Walker? Pale. Gaunt. So, if you're gaunt, Ms. Jasperson, can you explain gaunt to us? I can't think of a way to explain it. G-A-U-N-T.
Skinny and
I can't think of a good way to explain it.
This is a good way to
Oh yeah, there you go. Thank you. Okay, so while Shandy looks it up, hollow-eyed. How are you gonna look if you're hollow-eyed? How are your eyes hollow? How are you gonna look if you're hollow-eyed? That's the way someone is describing you. What do you think that means? He's looking into a hollow-eyed. Yes, did you find gaunt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very thin and bony with hollow eyes and a starved look.
Thin and bony. Okay.
With
So, with hollowed eyes,
hollowed
yes.
eyes. Look
So-
up hollowed eyes. See if hollowed eyes is in there.
Yeah.
Might be, might not. If it's not, nobody can think of it. I'll tell you what it means. It is.
Okay, so while Shandy's looking up hollowed eye, Julie, I believe you're next.
Luke knew that only John Hartnett from the Erebus was missing. He was the only man to
too sick to make it on the ship. But Hartnell's older brother, Thomas, was in the crowd of sailors. Luke noticed how Thomas refused to look at the coffin. When Sir John read aloud a passage from the Bible by lamplight, the white pages rippling in the wind, Thomas Hartnell was the only one who.
Hey, did you find it, Shandy?
Yeah. It was under hollow, deep and sunken, hollow eyes and cheeks.
So his eyes are sunken. So if you, some of Miss Noe might have them, she's got bags under her eyes. But sometimes if you're sick, you can, your eyes will kind of make sunken eyes, like here's your eye, and then the skin underneath would kind of go in so that you could see the bone. So it's going to be sunken in. Can you think of how, I wouldn't recommend pressing on it. Can you guys imagine that? Can you all imagine that? Yes. So you'll be able to see this bone. You can press right here. You can feel it in your eyes, in your eye socket. Yeah, so your skin would go be sunken in, so it would kind of make a curve-shaped invert. So you can see it well. You, when you say like the bottom of your eye, like, no, not really, because you'd still have this part of your bottom part of your eyelid covering it, but it would still be sunken in.
It just means your face is very thin, and so you have no fat around, so your eyes just kind of sink in back like that, and then when you look at somebody who's hollow-eyed, the shadows make them seem very, very dark, but it's because they're very thin, so the eyes look like they've sunk back in, but there's no fat around to make them puffy out, right? So the dark shadows make your eyes look like they're hollow.
Okay. So, Araya, 5 days later.
5 days
Oh,
later.
sorry. Do you want to keep reading the paragraph?
That's still.
Yeah. Sorry, Araya. You can read next.
5 days later, they buried John Hartnell. To Luke, it almost felt as if he were reliving his friend's youth. From the deck of the Terror, he heard the same sounds of men digging the grave. Later, he trudged with the rest of the crew behind the sledge. Once again, the sledge jerked and scraped awkwardly over the uneven, thirsty ice. But even so, Luke had to struggle to keep up. His legs were heavy like stone, and his whole body felt weak, as if his blood were draining every pound of his feet.
Okay, so what does, where's that word I just saw? What does trudged mean? They're trudging through the ice and snow. How are they walking? Walker?
They're kind of like, they aren't really picking up their feet, they're just kind of like shuffling, and they look really sad.
Yeah. Yeah, so everyone stand up. Push your chairs in behind your desk. Don't move anywhere. Kind of act like you're trudging. Trudging through the snow. Probably cold. Your body's really heavy. Might be kind of hard to walk. Yeah, kind of like the dead. All right, nice job. Nice trudging. All right, Araya.
I have to start eating more so I have to keep up my strength. After all, they still had to survive several months. He had heard some of the officers say that February and March were the worst, although he couldn't imagine how
Okay, so before we turn the page, let's look at this top picture. There's no caption. Or, no. There is. Who can read the small caption for us? Grant, will you read that caption?
Luke watches as John's ferry treats the sailors as he straps Coffin to his sled and hauled over the hills of ice.
So let's look at the big picture before we look at the smaller one. Take a look at it. What do you see in this picture? Dylan, what do you see in this picture?
I see a coffin that has a flag on it, and I see some men around. I see a man with a book in his hand, and then there's somebody by him raising a hand.
Okay, what flag? Whose flag? What country's flag is that, Dylan? Britain, Great Britain. How do you know? How do you know that's Great Britain's flag? By looking at it. What are the colors? Red, white, and blue. Does anyone know what the Great Britain flag looks like? Mateo?
Like, it's blue, and then like white stripes, red in the middle, and blue goes on top.
Yes. Here, I'll pull it up. What else do you see? What can you tell? What is the mood of this picture? Shandy?
They look gloomy and cold, and I noticed the guy with the book is Sir John, and then Thomas Hartnell is the one who is on the ground crying because it says that he's the only one who died.
Who's the one on the ground crying?
Thomas Hartnell,
Thomas Hartnell. And how do you know that's him crying?
because it says Thomas Hartnell is the only one who wept.
Thomas Hartnell is the only one who wept. Yeah. That's a good observation. So this is the Great Britain flag. Got the red cross that Mateo was describing. The white stripes, and it's red, white, and blue. Yes, Mateo?
I see William Wright.
You see, which one's William Britain?
He's like, there's in the middle of these three men,
Okay. And what three men?
over two men and that.
Him?
Says it's Luke and William
Okay. So, what Mateo is talking, this one? So if you look on page 42, and you can kind of see how he's in the middle of these two men, here and here, and they're holding him up. That's another good observation. All right, so let's take a look at the smaller picture. What's happening in the smaller picture? Marvin? Shandy?
A bunch of sailors are pulling someone's baby on a sledge over the ice cliffs.
Whose coffin would that be?
John's?
John's, yes. What about, look at the terrain, look at the landscape. What can you tell about it? Do you think that would be an easy task to pull up that coffin? Walker?
No, because it's really rough and uneven.
Yeah, and they're on ice, right? Sorry, was that what you were going to say, Julie?
Yeah, because they were pulling it up and probably slipped.
Probably are slipping. Think about I'm sure a lot of you have been walking up ice and slipped, falling down hills. Yeah. Okay, let's turn the page.
At the bottom of their shoes are leather. They didn't have rubber shoes or any grips like these,
Right.
They might have, what do we call those things with wires on them that you can put on your.
Oh,
like
yak tracks?
Trackers, yak tracks, they didn't have things like that, so they just had smooth leather bottoms on their shoes, so you can imagine what that would be like really slipping.
Okay, so top of page 44. Who's Julie? Grant, top of page 44. Let's pay attention, please. Gotta follow along.
At the gravesite, he stood near the back of the crowd as Thomas, Hartnell, and other men from the Erebus lowered the cross into the ground. Behind them stood John and Betty, and even Stanley's churches of the Amos.
Mr. Kitzer died in
Autopsy?
autopsy of the body. Stanley said to his colleague in a low voice, 2 deaths in 4 days, less than a year after leaving England. The commander agreed that it was important we learn the cause.
What's an autopsy? What's an autopsy? Julie, what's an autopsy?
An examination to determine the cause of death.
Okay, so the person that you're examining is dead. That's right. What is the person called who performs the autopsy? Does anybody know? Autopsers, what Dylan said. Anybody else have a guess? Walker?
Autopsist.
Autopsist. Okay, does anyone else? Usually they're a doctor, but they're a special kind of doctor.
Undertaker. A surgeon.
They usually have some sort of surgery degree, doctor, because they'll probably have to cut open the bodies and examine the insides and stuff, so they need to know what they're looking at. Usually a person performing an autopsy is going to be, they work in a coroner's office, so it's usually a coroner. The police department will probably have one. Excuse me?
Like a law and order.
Like on Law and Order. That's right. Okay, I think our friends are outside, but let's take a look.
We don't come till 9:10.
Oh, 9:10. Oh, so we can keep reading. Oh, yay.
Yes.
Okay, so who's next? Vincent.
Luke no longer heard the voice of Sir John reading from the Bible. An autopsy? Had they discovered why Hartnell died? Could it have been the same thing that had killed John Thornton? Could there finally be an explanation for his friend's slow, agonizing death, his odd behavior? Luke listened hard to the conversation of the surgeon.
So if someone dies an agonizing death, do you think that was pleasant? No, Walker. What does agonizing mean?
Like, long and painful.
Long and painful. That's right. No, because back in the 1800s, in the late 1800s, they didn't have the type of medicine that we have today, and the different medicines to make people feel better. So, plus they're on a ship. They've been traveling for months on a ship, so their supplies are probably low. Yeah, they gave John's better food. That's right. Okay, Micaiah,
And that's Betty.
read the next one as well.
They found some small hardened lumps in the lung tissue.
You want to read the next one? Micaiah, the tear surgeon.
The terror surgeon gave a sad sigh. Thank God. With the men's symptoms, I was beginning to wonder.
Can you all give me a sad sigh? Okay, West?
No need to wonder further, there's no doubt. The two men began to make their way toward the group of officers who were starting to walk past the grave, but Luke didn't follow them.
Okay, I'll finish up. He had watched both his parents die of tuberculosis. Even back in England, the deadly disease was common. They too had suffered from terrible weakness, the painful forced breathing, the racking cough. Luke frowned. He couldn't remember them behaving the way John had. The confusion, the fits, the look of madness. Still, they had died a long time ago. He could have forgotten. So, who died of tuberculosis? parents. But do we know that Hartnell died of tuberculosis? Oh, his parents. I thought you said Hartnell too. West?
It was Luke's parents.
Luke's parents, yes. That's what he said.
He said
Oh, sorry. This noise took me. John, Luke's parents died of tuberculosis. Has anyone ever heard of tuberculosis? Shandy, you said you've heard of it. You don't know what it is. Micaiah?
Isn't it where your lungs begin to kind of, not trip, but it kind of implodes? It begins to, how do I say this? It begins to get really badly. It just starts to bleed a lot, and it begins to get punctured. It bleeds a lot.
Mm-hmm. Usually a sign of tuberculosis, you cough up blood. Julie?
It's a disease in your lungs.
It's a disease in your lungs, yes. Walker?
the picture on this page is the same as the picture on the cover.
Oh, wow. Did anyone else notice that? Dylan, did you notice this? What do you see in this picture?
And then pulling the boats out.
What are they pulling the boats out of?
Ice.
Ice. And does it look like this big, large ship? Does it look like it can move? No. What does it look like? What does this big, large ship look like? Shandy?
Looks like it's stuck in the ice.
It looks like it's stuck in the ice. Okay, it's time, and I think we're at a good stopping space. So tomorrow we'll pick up on page 44. You just close up your books and